Are your kitchen and bathroom way overdue for a remodel? Well, I got the guy for you. Call John Sellers at First Response Contracting, 484-256-7136. Both residential and commercial services, and he's licensed and insured. Call him at 484-256-7136. First Response Contracting. Hello, this is Brad Weisman. You're listening to Real Estate and You. We are back in the studio, and we have a special guest here. This is going to be an interesting show because we just threw this together in about, I'm going to say 30 seconds, something like that, which is kind of how all the shows end up going, right, Hugo?
That's right.
That's right, yeah. So we got Mark Chaknos. He's the broker of record for Keller Williams Platinum Realty, of course. And we brought him in here because there's a lot of question or a lot of misconception, a lot of confusion around what the hell is a broker.
So I'm here to set the record
You're
straight.
here to
Is
set
that
the
what I'm
record
here for?
straight. Yeah, and I'm having a hard time getting this microphone set right today. So now we're good. Like everybody says, oh, broker. They'll just call you a broker sometimes, and you're not. You are a broker,
Correct.
okay? And we can kind of explain what's the difference between a broker and a realtor. What did you do to get this super cool title?
So, having a broker's license is like maybe equivalent to getting a master's in something like that. It's
absolutely
not to that extent of education, although it is a pretty significant added layer of education, as you know a little bit as you're going through some of these classes. But you acquire a broker's license to do really one of three things. You want to own your own brokerage.
Yep.
You want to manage a brokerage, or you want to get more involved with property management, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah.
At the basic real estate level, when you get your license, you can do some property management, but if you really want to get more involved with it, you have to get your broker's license.
Gotcha.
And goes along with, obviously, managing an office as well. When you start up, your own company and you have your broker's license, then you have to have a broker of record. And that's what I am for Keller Williams.
Right. Now, can you be a broker of record for other companies?
In Pennsylvania, yes, you can.
You can.
You cannot be an agent for multiple companies in the same state, but yes, I could be the broker for multiple companies.
Yeah, because I've seen other companies in the area that the broker, the other companies that we have in our area here, the broker is not even in the office.
Right.
Like it's a broker somewhere else, and they're the broker for maybe many of the franchise's offices. So
exactly.
So it's an interesting situation there.
It is. That. Yeah. And we have, like, for example, we have our referral company, which is like really just a side entity, but it is a brokerage. And I have to be the broker of record for that. So those are agents that are, licensed in escrow, but can be referral agents to agents that are fully actively licensed.
Right.
So I am a broker of record for two companies.
For two companies. Yeah. Amazing. So what kind of studying? I mean, how much time did this take to get this? I mean, I've been a realtor for 30 years. And I think what they should do is they should have a 30-year and you get the broker.
Like
you should just get it. Award. You should just get exactly. No, but I understand now why it's something different because I'm going through the classes now. Yeah. And it gives you a whole new respect for what you had to learn in order to become or to take the test to become a broker.
Sure.
It's a lot of schooling.
Yeah. So technically you need only 3 years of experience, but it is tied to production.
Right.
So you have to have, I believe, 100 sides, which is either a buyer or a seller or a lease. So you have to add that all up.
Which is actually pretty much in 3 years.
And that's what I was going to say.
If somebody's new.
If somebody's new, you're probably not doing 100 sides the first 3 years. Maybe you are. Yeah. But, locally speaking, I would say it's uncommon. So I would say about year 5, actually, in my career is when I got my broker's license.
Yeah. Yeah. I know as soon after you got your license, you got your broker's license, which is not, I don't think is as common. I think a lot of times people are in 10, maybe 12 years or so and then decide to do it. Or the slow guy here, like me, I'm in 30 years. 30 years. I think I'm ready to get that master's degree in real estate.
Still getting through those classes.
I'll tell you what, it's a pain in the butt. It really is. It's the law. It's all the different things that you have to learn, but it's all stuff that keeps us out of trouble. Yeah. Keeps us out of lawsuits and things like that. Shouldn't say keeps us out, reduces the possibility.
Reduces the risk and liability.
Because as a broker, you know very well that there's liability. And that's something that
No
you
doubt
deal
about
with,
it.
right?
Yeah. So that's really the main objective as a broker of record of a company, is to kind of supervise all the agents and have an oversight of all the deals that are happening between our buyers and sellers. So a lot of what I do on a day-to-day basis is just problem solving.
Yeah.
Whether it's something that occurred within the transaction or on an agreement, contract, what have you. But that's pretty much what I do every day of the week.
And then you also get sometimes where people decide that they're going to go after either the buyer, the seller, the agent, whoever, or everybody.
Sure.
And then you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
The notices from the courts come to you.
They do. I mean, our Pennsylvania agreements of sale have a mediation process in line first before someone takes it right to court. You could go straight to court, but oftentimes the mediation process is the best first available option. But yeah, the buck kind of stops with me when it comes to that kind of thing. So I get the lawsuits landing on my desk.
That's good.
And then I have to,
we like
deal
that.
with the attorney.
Yeah. Susan and I are very happy about that, actually, that you get those letters and not us.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, oftentimes, we're getting them dropped off by a sheriff.
Yes. Not fun. Not a fun. Nobody ever wants to see that coming into the office. Yeah, exactly. Getting served.
We know what it is.
And we're not called, when we say getting served, it's not a vodka and tonic. Just so you know, we're talking about, nasty paperwork.
And for the general viewership out there, they should know, like, it's a very limited basis. Like, I could count on my one hand how many we receive throughout the year, and not all of them go to court.
No.
A lot of the times it's getting settled outside of court, or it's something that probably shouldn't have been proposed in the first place. Yep. But we also have insurances and things like that in place. So
yeah, we don't want to make it sound like it happens a lot. For our company here, it does not. No. And a lot of that's you setting up the parameters for what we call compliance. I mean, you set up what you feel is the right forms that need to be signed and done. You also have it set up that basically, as realtors, as agents in this company, and including myself, I have to live by this too, that if it's not in the file, I don't get my commission check.
Correct.
So, I think there's a lot of companies out there that don't do that, that kind of fly more the seat of the pants, and it doesn't work out so well.
Yeah, we're pretty strict here on compliance, but for good reason, because it really limits then those number of lawsuits that could potentially come in. I mean, I'm probably toughest on our seller's property disclosure. I think any attorney out there would say, that's the one thing they kind of look at first outside of the agreement in terms of what was on there or what wasn't, because oftentimes when these lawsuits come about, it's about misrepresentation or non-disclosure. It could be something within the contract itself, but a lot of times it's a problem that arose after the fact. Yeah. And then they kind of look to that document to see, okay, what did the seller tell you at that time? Say? And was it accurate? Yeah. Was it truthful, or did they misrepresent?
So no water in the basement, and first 3 inches of rain, there's 4 foot of water in the basement.
That's right. That's a common one.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I love small trickle. Small trickle during heavy rains.
Minor rainstorm in 2015.
Yeah,
never had a drop in the basement.
Only happened during hurricane. So we get like a little bit of mist outside, and there's 4 foot of water in the basement. That's a problem. Yeah, but that happens, and that's why we tell people. I tell people all the time, my seller clients, when in doubt, disclose. If you're thinking about it. Disclose it.
100%.
What do you have to lose? I mean, you have nothing to lose. You have to lose when later on it comes up and it's an issue, and you're like, "Oh, I wish I would have said something." Yeah. So disclose always.
Yeah, I'll give one more quick tip about
go ahead.
Sellers. Like, if you ever had a contractor out or any licensed company of any sort that looked at an issue in the past, and maybe you say you didn't repair it back then, you should probably still disclose it, especially if it hadn't been fixed, because those are the type of things where they'll say, "No, we never dealt with that." And then something does happen to that particular item. And then they hire that same contracting company. They're like, "Well, I told these people 5 years ago that was an issue."
I've heard that so many times. Always. They're like, "Well, yeah, we were in here last week before it settled, and we told him the heating system didn't work."
Pretty much guarantees you a loss in the suit that gets filed.
You're not going to win on that one. No, one of my first deals when I first got into business was kind of like that. Actually, much worse. It was a semi-detached, and I'll never forget it. 4 weeks after settlement, and they had put down, small trickle during storms, whatever, but never had an accumulation of any kind of rain. It was just moisture, whatever. So they moved into the buyer moves in. I get a call from the buyer's agent after they moved in, and it's like 6 weeks later. We had major rain, like 3-4 inches of rain in a day. And next thing you know, I get this call, and they said, "Oh, by the way, when they called the fire company to come pump out the water out of their basement. That's how much water was in the basement.
Yeah.
They said, oh, yeah, we've been here 8 or 9 times before.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Talk about getting caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
Like,
That just shows you that you're never going to get away with it on a seller disclosure statement. Yeah. It's going to come back to bite you in the butt at some point. Yeah. So it's a big part of what you do, though. It's interesting.
It is a big part.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What is the seller's disclosure? What is that?
So that's a state.
Is it a document?
It's a state required form. So every seller has to fill one out, and it essentially tells you a little bit of the backstory of the house. Talk about who's lived here, when did you buy it, have you had any pets, how old's your heat, your AC, and then disclose any issues that you've had, current or past.
It actually prompts you, which is what I like.
Yeah.
When you think about like years ago when I first got in the business, disclosure was in this form. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you have anything to disclose about the house? No. Okay, so then let's get this listing contract done. Right. That's the way it went. So what happened is with the seller disclosure statement, which was brought into effect, years ago, was because it made you think.
Sure.
It makes you think. You'll sit there because maybe you wouldn't think about the electrical problem. That was a problem. But if it's asking you, was there a problem? You're going to go, oh, yeah, we did,
Yeah.
So it's funny how it's evolved,
It's not a bad thing at all. And I think the hardest part right now in the market that we're in currently is that most deals are getting done without inspections.
Yeah.
So if you have an inspection paired with a properly filled out seller's disclosure, you've got pretty good confidence going into that house. But what we're seeing more often than not now is no inspection and a so-so filled out disclosure.
Yes.
And that's where problems arise.
Absolutely. And I think it's really good that you're very strict on that. And it makes us very strict on it, obviously, and telling our sellers, look, you need to have this all filled out.
Yep.
And then what's nice is we have really good transaction coordinators here for our agents, and they end up making sure that that's all filled out also. So there's a lot of steps in the compliance. I think it's good for people to know that we're following the letter of the law from PA.
No doubt
that's what we're doing. It's not that we're trying to be a pain in the ass. We're doing it because it's the right things to do.
Well, we're looking to protect our clients' interests.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not only our own. It's really our clients' best interest.
Exactly.
In order to be strict on that,
we don't want them getting wrapped up into something later on. I always say when you walk away from this house, you don't want to have to look back.
Yeah.
People want to walk away and go, okay, I took my memories with me, but I don't want to look back at any problems.
That's right. Positive or negative.
Yeah,
because we can deal with it. You'd be very emotionally attached to a home. You just sold it, and then the next thing you know, you're caught up in a lawsuit, or perhaps you went through a divorce and it was a chapter in your life. Now you wanted to close. Next thing you know, it's back open because you didn't disclose properly. So
not fun.
Those are the type of things. Yeah,
not fun. What other things can you think about that you can do as a broker versus a realtor? I'm trying to think of anything else. So you can open your own company.
Correct.
You can run your own company, manage it, run it, whatever. You don't have to be. It's something that most people think too. You don't have to own the company to be the broker of record.
That's correct. Yeah. So the broker of record is really just like the head of compliances, like we just talked about. But you could just be a broker within that company and then considered an associate broker.
Yeah.
So that's different levels of licensure at the broker level. An associate broker back in the day, I would say, was more renowned as like someone that was just further educated in the industry, you know, and we don't see that as much anymore. And I think it's because people view it as, well, that education doesn't pay unless I'm going to be the main broker or the manager or property manager.
Or open my own thing.
Yeah. So like when I did my broker's classes in 2015, I'm trying to think. I think there was 2 people in our class.
Crazy.
And now I know when people are trying to get their broker's license, it's extremely limited, and they don't even have as many classes.
They don't, and that's one of the things I've noticed. They don't have as many classes. But it's I would suggest anybody out there to get it.
Yeah.
Especially here's the thing. I tell myself this, and I've never followed it in real estate, but always be prepared for an opportunity.
Yeah.
You might think, oh, why would I ever need my brokers? But you never know when somebody's going to say, hey, you know what? We're starting a new real estate company. You will never be looked at if you don't have your brokers.
Yeah.
If you have your brokers, you're one of the few that does. Yeah. And if your personality fits theirs, they might say, hey, we want you on board.
Well, there's no doubt it should help you in your business.
Absolutely.
In attaining new business. I mean, it's that added layer of education that everyone should respect that you went through.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. So what do you think about taking the broker hat off? What do you think about this market? What do you think's going on?
So, what I've been seeing mostly as of late is Prices are continuing to appreciate. I'd say particularly under the $500,000 mark.
Yeah, totally.
And then we're starting to see things to slow down a little bit as far as activity on the 500 plus. They're still selling, but it feels like those houses have kind of reached a peak now.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, if we got 30 showings on our $300,000 listing, we might only have 5 on our $600,000 listing.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And we're seeing price reductions. I mean, that's 600 and plus, man. 600 plus, 550 plus is starting to see price reductions. And I think that I do think is a direct result of interest rates. Yeah. I think because when you start getting into that realm, it definitely affects your payment. I mean, it's
no doubt about it. And at some point, you just kind of have to run out of buyers for these type of properties that have been selling for so much money.
Absolutely.
Just based on our demographics in Berks County in general. But, you know, we're still a pretty affordable place to live. We've talked about this before. You know, that's why that price under 500,000 still goes, you know, pretty quickly. Yeah. Because, you know, $500,000 in some of these other areas closer to the Philadelphia markets.
It's a condo.
It could even be like, I saw a townhouse listed for sale down in Ivyland, PA, which is Warminster.
Okay.
$975,000
for a townhouse. Yeah, that's just incredible.
It looks like, you know, like the Grande ones that they just built here in Rosemont, which are beautiful.
Yes.
But
they're
3 times the price.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, 4 times. Maybe.
We still have a really good market for that, the affordability.
Yeah, and that's the affordability thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think, Hugo, you had a question, did you have another question?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering, like, what is the thing or improvement that you can do to your home prior to selling that will give you the greatest return on investment?
Yeah, prior to selling, I would say if you got carpets that need to be replaced, replace the carpets, and paint goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times, you know, the buyers go into a house to determine whether or not they feel as though the sellers lived in it hard. Mm-hmm. You know, you might have 4 kids and 2 dogs, and every piece of trim in that house is torn up, and the carpets are stinky.
Have you been in my house? No.
Yeah.
Not just kidding.
Specifically referencing Brad's house, but I am. But
it's amazing what a Bernese Mountain Dog can do.
But, you know, they won't have any clue if those carpets are brand new and you just freshly painted the place, and then their mindset changes.
Absolutely.
And those dollars that you just spent could equate to, I'd say, 2.5 times what you put into it.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. And if you're looking for, that's short term, I think. If you're looking for long term and you're thinking, you know, we're thinking about redoing our kitchen, I think those are decisions that you'd want to wait. You'd want to know that you're going to be there for at least 5 years more.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Kitchen and master bath.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, because those are pricey items. And I don't know if you're going to get it back in a year or two, but I think if you wait that 5 years, you probably at least break even or make a little bit of money. Yeah,
I agree. And it's also a little dependent on location. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if you're ground zero for real estate in Berks County, wherever you determine that to be, and you need to put the kitchen in, you'll get your money back and maybe then some. Yeah. But in other areas that maybe you're pricing yourself out of that market, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I always think it's funny too. People will ask the question like about finished basements and things. If the whole community, like Werner Farm, if everybody in there, or 99% of them have finished basements and you don't, yes, it's going to affect your value.
Something.
Right? It's going to affect you. You're not going to be able to get what the person just sold for. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
Absolutely.
So those things do matter, you know. It's not like you're going to get a ton more. You're just not going to get market value.
Right.
You know, it really is what it is.
And finished basements aren't cheap to do, especially now.
They're not.
So
they're not.
You know, these people could have done that for $30,000 10 years ago. And now it's costing you $70,000 to finish a basement.
It's so true. So. Did that answer your question, Hugo?
Yep.
All right, cool. Anything else you want to end with? Believe it or not, we spoke for 18 minutes.
18 minutes.
It's a good conversation, though. We now know what a broker does. We know what a broker what a realtor can't do, which is good to know, and all that other stuff. Anything else you could think of?
No. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. You're going to go golfing?
Golfing today.
Men's
league today for teens.
All right, good.
Timing.
All right, sounds good, man. All right, that's it. There we have it. Broker versus realtor. What the hell is a broker? Now we know. Thank goodness we know. Because I know a lot of people ask that question, and now we know. So we will see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. All right, that's it. Thank you. Are your kitchen and bathroom remodels a little overdue? Well, now's your chance to call First Response Contracting. John Sellers will take care of you. 484-256-7136. They do residential and commercial, and they're licensed and insured. Give them a call at 484-256-7136.